Hey, and thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Loaded Radio podcast. My name is Scott Penfold, and today on the show, going to be talking with guitarist Ash Gray from the band VENOM PRISON. Great death metal band. Their lead vocalist, Larissa Stupar, is described by Kerrang as metal's most important and uncompromising voice, and the band has released 4 studio albums. Their latest is the album Erebos, which is just an unrelenting assault of brutal death metal. If you dig death metal, you've got to check out this band. And in the second portion of the podcast, as always, we'll be joined by Loaded Radio's own Johnny Rude, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, where we can talk about the week that was in hard rock and metal. So by all means, stick around for that. After we speak with this guy here, he's a guitarist for VENOM PRISON. His name is Ash Gray. Ash, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast this week.
No, anytime. Thanks for having me.
You know, I was listening to some of the album this morning, and I just love the brutality. First off, who produced the album?
Scott Atkins.
Have you known Scott a long time?
No, I've known of Scott for a long time. I was a big fan of his band Stamping Ground, and he did, he's done so many great records, either if it's been engineering or mixing, and just we kind of knew that he would be the right guy, and we kind of knew that he would understand us as a band and as people and backgrounds and stuff. So it was a no-brainer. We knew Scott would be great for us.
A song that really jumped out to me was the song Nemesis. What can you tell me about that one?
Nemesis. So in terms of writing, I think it had so many different varieties of dynamics throughout the album, and there was no particular order of what they were written in as a track listing. And I think Nemesis was kind of the one of keeping it that traditional VENOM PRISON, but, bringing those new additions in. And lyrically, it's about experiencing narcissistic abuse and kind of, being broken down to the point where you are, extremely angry to the point of wanting to cause damage. And I think, the way the song kind of plays and the dynamics throughout it kind of goes hand in hand with the lyrics. So it was an interesting song to put together because we kind of felt from the first riff that we were like, right, this is going to be one of the more full assault songs as such.
Yeah, and it definitely comes across that way too. It just kicks you in the teeth. It's awesome. Now, what can you tell me about the song Judges of the Underworld?
Judges of the Underworld. So I know I said the track listing was in no particular order, but that actually was the first song written for Erebos. Yeah, it was the first song written for Erebos. I remember the day we were writing it because Ben came to my place and we booted up all the studio stuff and we just started doing demos and just pre-producing everything. And it was a song that we were just passing the guitar back and forth. I was like, oh, I've got an idea here, pass me the guitar, record it, put it in, put the drums to it. And then, the next section, Ben would be like, nope, I've got an idea here. And we literally did the song in a day, which I wish all the other songs went like that, but unfortunately they didn't. But that one was just straight off the hand. We were just going back and forth until we got it. And yeah, I think, in terms of lyrical context, it touches on systematic oppression and just kind of even class oppression and just kind of even justice system of how it's cheating and kind of not really helping people, and just that whole idea of reoffending again and again and again for no actual move on life plan. And it's just, it's a cycle that never ends, and it's not really doing anything. It's just failing them. They're kind of just bringing people in, letting them out, reoffending, because there isn't plans for when people, get out, whether they can find a job or they can't find a job because of, the way that society will now deem them or kind of look at them in a different way. There's a lot going on in Judges of the Underworld.
Certainly so. I find that there's a lot going on, even with the entire album, just the themes that come across. A lot of them very terrifying themes. Where did these themes come from for you? What inspired you to bring these themes to Erebos?
We've always kind of been very on the idea of just modern social issues and kind of the way the world is and our view at that, point in time when it's, being written. We've always kind of strongly been that way. Even before VENOM PRISON, we were all either in punk or hardcore bands and stuff. And I don't think it was something that, I don't think it was something we planted there for it to kind of be oh, let's try this. I think subconsciously we knew that that was going to be what each member as such would kind of bring to the table of Venom Prison, because that's who they are as a person, rather so than, forcing it to be something that it's not.
I wanted to ask you as well about the title, Erebos. What was the meaning of the title?
So Erebos, the idea of Erebos is like we always look into these mythologies and kind of build this aesthetic and theme. And a lot of the time when we're doing like research and reading about all of these, characters and personalities, they still resonate with like, modern day so clearly, like just the way they are and the characteristics and the stories behind them. And we always had that idea of kind of blending that with like modern day issues and kind of, rather than being, overly transparent about everything, kind of building that art and that theme and aesthetic to go around it hand in hand. And I think that's kind of where Venom Prison has its full package of, music, lyrics, artwork and visuals, that they all link together because they're all made together. It's not like we do one task and then it's like, hey, let's jump on to the next. Everything grows together. So yeah, we kind of always acted like that. And then when we got to Erebos, it was the idea of, born from chaos and just all these things that are born into the world that inevitably already fall into chaos without even having a choice. And it just seemed to be like a reoccurring, thing, no matter what subject we were looking or, touching on. It was like, how do you actually escape that? Like, if you keep being born into these chaotic situations, then how are we ever going to know any different,
What really got to me too was the album cover. First, it took me a while, but the more I look at it, the more it sort of gets to me. And I find it kind of terrifying. Who inspired the album cover and who designed it?
So we've worked with Elaran Kantor for all of our full lengths to this day now, and we've become such great friends. And the way we work together is like, it's such a great process where we'll do the pre-production. Larissa will have the lyrics and the vocals kind of demoed on all the pre-productions, and then we kind of send them to Elaran, and he'll sit with them for a couple of weeks and go through the lyrics and go through the songs and get a feel and build an imagination to what it would look like as such. And he'll always take like a lyric or a passage from a song, and he does it on every record, and then he'll pinpoint the artwork to that exact point of what he feels resonates with him the most. And I remember seeing the sketch of Erebos, and straight away I was like, I'm in love with it. Like it really captures that feeling of what it's trying to portray.
It's terrifying. It really is. The more you look at it, you know what I mean? Like at first when you look at it, it's like, oh, it's not. But then the more you realize what you're looking at, I'm not going to get into detail. I want people to see it for themselves, but it is really disturbing and terrifying. So great job.
Oh yeah, honestly, when we finally got like the final piece, and I just kind of had it in front of me, and I just stared at it for like a good 30 minutes, and I just thought like, wow, that is absolutely terrifying, and it just captures the sound. Like even when you listen to Erebos and look at the artwork at the same time, it just feels so like they almost coexist with each other.
Yeah,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because it's exactly how we felt when we finally got to it, and I was like, yeah, we've done it. That's awesome. We've done, what we were aiming to do as such.
Oh yeah, very unsettling. It was great. Now working with Larissa on vocals, but do you find that the death metal community or death metal fans have come to embrace female frontwomen more at this point?
It's so hard to tell, because like, I always say like, for all the positives you see, like a couple of negatives shine through so much more, doesn't it? Like, and I think that naturally happens in any situation in life. You can have like 10 positive comments, and that one negative one is the one that sticks.
Right.
And I think, I still see comments to this day, and even so to the point where it's not even us at this point sometimes, like other bands, I can see it being mentioned too that have either females in. So I still see it happening. Is it more accepted? Yeah. Like it's so hard to tell, because you still see these negative things going on, but people are definitely becoming more aware, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that just the negativity all around is just so juvenile. When just look at some of the music that's being created by some of these great women today, like bands like Ginger, of course, like bands like yourselves, Arch Enemy. It's almost just ridiculous to even think that there's an issue with it in the first place.
Yeah, it is really a hard one to kind of wrap your head around, because it's almost like I've never viewed it like that, and I've never seen it like that.
Right.
So it's so hard for me to kind of, even when we started the band, if I'm completely honest, I remember when it was, myself and Larissa starting the band, and there was literally no thought process to it other than, hey, do you want to do a metal band? And she was like,
Right.
yeah, sure. And it wasn't like, oh, I need the best person for this or the best person for that. It was just a natural, honest band that kind of just started, and then we had like Ben and Mike and Joe join like shortly after, and it was all very natural. So even when I see like comments, I think like, what's disturbed you that much to need to say that, like what on earth is bothering them? But I think sometimes maybe it's jealousy. I don't know. Maybe there's some form of jealousy where they just don't like it, or it's a target that they deem easier. Like
Right.
it's so hard to pinpoint. I think there's always different motives behind every, negative comment, depending on what reaction they're really looking for. If they're just saying it out of stupidity, the chances are they didn't even think about it, and
Exactly.
neither should you. But then there are some that you do see that kind of a bit more calculated and a bit more, I don't know, like, yeah, you can see it's a different motive other than just stupidity. They're actually trying to say something where you're kind of like, that, right, okay, I see where you're going with that.
Right.
No matter, what area you look at as such.
But something that was very cool and celebrated, I think, for you guys was playing the main stage at Bloodstock. How was that experience, man?
Oh, it was cool, really cool. I think the last show we played before that was a headline set at Damnation Festival at Leeds University in 2019. That was the last show we had played up till that point. So it was like great to kind of, first show back, we come out to Bloodstock, kind of, somehow we managed to get Fire, which was like still my favorite story ever. Like I literally didn't realize all you had to send was an email and you can get Fire on the day. I was like, fuck me, why have I not tried this more often? Like, I was just like email being like, yo, can I have some Fire, please? And they were like,
that would
how
be
long?
excellent.
I was like, 45 minutes, please. And they were like, you want 45 minutes of Fire? I was like, that's exactly what I want. And then on the day, they were like, so where do you want us to like do the Fire? I was like, my friend, just go fucking wild with that button and give me 45 minutes worth of Fire, please.
Oh, and it looks so fucking cool too, man. It really
does. Honestly, like honest to God, like I've got to give a shout out to the Fire guy. Like he was like spot on. He was like next to our like lighting guy who knows our set like so perfectly.
Right.
And he was just guiding this guy that had never heard us before, never anything. And like, he just absolutely nailed it. And I was like, cool, that was great. And yeah, that was the first show back. And in fact, that's the last show we played since.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, now that things are starting to loosen up a little bit, I know Europe is still kind of messed. It's still kind of crazy over there. Are you going to be planning on hitting the road anytime soon or anything?
We have the festivals for summer. Booked. We have quite a bit going on. We're talking about doing some shows towards the later half of the year. For the time being, I think we're kind of, with Erebos just being out, I think we like the idea of it just, kind of brewing a little bit and kind of, giving time for it to kind of settle with people and kind of, I always find it really not weird. I get that it's the thing that bands do, but it's like your record comes out and then you go on a 7-week tour on the day that it comes out. And it's like people hadn't even listened to it 7 weeks later, and I mean, it's just the way we feel about it. But I think as well, we came out of the studio still feeling really creative. So me and Ben have actually been getting together and writing more. Just because it was one of those moments where we kind of spoke about it. And ever since the band has started, it's always been like, write, tour, record all over again and again for years. And where we have that bit of time, it's kind of nice to go, do you know what? We're still feeling creative. We just did Erebos, like maybe something even better is around the corner and we just don't know it, but we might as well carry on writing to find out. And I feel like if we just fill that with relentless touring, you kind of lose that little bit of a spark as such, I'd say. And
sure.
like like you said yourself, Europe's so unpredictable at the moment. Like I'm seeing tours get moved to 2023 already. And it's just like, we had this tour that just kept getting postponed again and again and again. And it's just, there's nothing worse than kind of gearing up for it every time and, doing all these practices and pre-productions and getting everything super tight and ready, and then it being cancelled. And you think, how much writing time have we just wasted, on that? And I think that's just how we feel at the moment. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to be doing shows towards the end of the year. It's just more right now, do the festivals and kind of make it have more of an event as such. I feel like we don't want to just oversaturate it from the get-go. I feel like less is more right now, I feel.
Understood completely. Ash, thanks so much for taking the time today, man. I love the sound of the new stuff, and it's been great talking to you, man.
Cheers. Thank you for having me as well. It's been great.
Cheers. All the best. And we'll take care. Hopefully we'll see you soon over here.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later. Take care.
And there he is. That's Ash Gray, guitar player for the band Venom Prison. Great British death metal. You've got to check out the new album, Erebos. It is incredible. And it's a creepy album cover too, man. Just unsettling. But hey, I'm Scott Penfold, and we're now going to be joined by Loaded Radio's own Johnny Rude. He joins us live from Las Vegas, Nevada, to talk about the week that was in heavy music. Hey, Johnny, how you doing, man? Everything going good?
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, same old. Did you go to the Slash show last night? The Slash?
No, I did not go.
Oh, you didn't go? I heard it was a pretty great show, though, from what I saw online.
I heard it was cool. Tam said it was good. Yeah, it was for, I guess her girlfriend's bought her tickets for her birthday. That was last week. Yeah, so she ended up going. And said it was good. They had Dead Sarah opening up. Yeah. Kernsey was playing and all that stuff. Yeah, so it was good. I heard. Yeah.
Oh, I guess you heard about Dave Meniketti battling prostate cancer.
Yeah, he's canceled a few shows because of it.
But you know what? Thank God he got it early enough. He said that it's like an over 90% survival rate. I mean, he's not really too worried, which is great news.
Yeah, with the Bozeman guy from Black Panther. I mean, if this stuff goes undetected, you got it. This is the one that is easily treatable if you get it on time. So that's good news for him. And I think that's what he's sort of getting at. Yeah, we caught this because he's at the age where you get checked out and et cetera. And so, no, that's good. I mean, it's too bad, but it's good.
Another person who's recently been diagnosed with that, 58-year-old Nasty Suicide, former guitarist for Hanoi Rocks. Wow, that's a great name, Nasty Suicide.
Yeah. His real name is Bob.
His real name is Jan Marcus Stenfers.
Yeah, he's Helsinki, Finland. So he went for Nasty Suicide.
Nasty Suicide. It's like, who's going to actually believe that's your name, though? Who's going to believe that your mom is Jan fucking Suicide? Right?
That's the same. There's a bunch of goofy names, but that's like the guys in Avenged Sevenfold. You got M Shadow, Sinister Gates.
Johnny Christ.
Johnny Christ.
Zachy Vengeance is another one of that band.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, like Zachy Vengeance and, like M Shadows, very inspired by what would have been the 80s era. I mean,
of course. Yeah. It's just, it's handles, it's goofy handles and they're nicknames, but, eventually, hey, Nasty Suicide.
He's 58 years old, and people still know this poor guy is Nasty Suicide because that's what the headline is, that former Hanoi Rocks guitarist Nasty Suicide is battling prostate cancer.
Wow. So if he's battling it, that means obviously been diagnosed with it, and they're not saying that they've caught it in time. Battling, that's the word. So he might have it, and it's not a good situation.
Yeah, it says right now, I'm just going through it. It says that he's going through the chemo part now. He's been going through it for a few months and feeling really good. And they're going to be starting the radiation phase. So they have started it. Again, it's a curable cancer if you get it in time. It's very curable. Right. So fingers crossed for the dude.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. You don't want to wish that upon anybody.
No, I don't know if you saw Gary Holt, guitar player from Exodus, of course, formerly Slayer as well. He's always had this big hate on for the Kardashians and Kanye West. And
good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Because remember, he had that Kill the Kardashians shirt he was wearing a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Well, now he's launched a line of guitar picks, which have the faces of the Kardashians on them with inverted crucifixes on their foreheads and whited out eyes. They look like all black metal and evil. They're really cool.
It's amazing. I would want to have those. Yeah, those are good collectibles.
They're awesome, dude. You can get them on Gary's official store, Gary Holt's Cartel stores, where you can get it. And we've got some images up on our website, loadradio.com. But yeah, there's a Kanye West one as well. There's a bunch of satanic cats. But I love how every member of the Kardashian family is represented with inverted fucking crucifixes on their fucking
That's amazing. It's so funny that you brought that up. I was just reading earlier today, just going through the news and the news that comes in the feed. Kanye, not just him flipping out over the loss of his wife, Kim, and how she's dating Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live. Yeah. And this guy has a massive hate on for him. And he put in a song about him doing a drive-by, basically going down to SNL and doing a drive-by and shooting people. What an idiot! Wow, but he's all bitter. And there's some other rap. He's also wasn't he diagnosed schizophrenic? Oh, he's bipolar, schizophrenic. Yeah, he's got mental issues, and no wonder she has left him. We don't know the ins and outs of the relationship. You can only just imagine dealing with this guy. He's a lunatic. He's nuts, and that's not to say anything against anyone who's struggling with mental illness. No, of course not. But he is fucking crazy, dude. He really is. And it's that money, power, ego thing. It's just amplified his craziness because he feels he can get away with everything. He's got enablers around him, yes men, and all these people, and so it's made a situation like that even worse. But yeah, he's crazy about this Pete Davidson guy, and he's written other lyrics in other songs. But there's other people that are ripping on him out there, like Soulja Boy, whoever this guy is. I was reading how he's just mocking him, and he's poking the bear, basically saying, "What are you going to do next, buddy? Look at this guy. He's got your girl, man. That's your baby mama." And he, I guess they had a few years ago. But it's just funny. You're talking about Gary Holt ripping on them, and I just read that came down the pipe. Speaking of Kanye West, he's been hanging out with Marilyn Manson lately. Marilyn Manson. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's this religious thing. I mean, I don't know. It's all weird, dude. It really is. It's really strange. And I think Manson had done some writing with him and stuff. It's just very weird. But getting away from that though, Body Count looks like they're working on a new album called Merciless. So Ice-T just announced that new Body Count, probably coming out sometime this year. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, anything Ice-T does, I mean, he's a little bit of a pioneer for the field of what he's doing. I mean, being an actor, a rap star, a metal guy. No, he's cool, man. Ice-T, he represents. He definitely does. The Monsters of Rock cruise is I think it's still going on. Yeah. It's over. Is it? Okay. Look at the lineup. I mean, and sorry to interrupt you there, but I mean, just the lineup, and I'm watching some of the videos and some of the performances. Why wasn't I on this cruise? It's killer. I mean, I've been on a few of them. I know you have, yeah. Yeah, we had some friends that went to the Slash show last night that just got back on Monday. 3 or 4 friends of ours. Again, I know a lot of people on that. I think it was, fingers crossed, it was successful. I know a lot of bands did cancel previous to it, but still, I think doing the cruise ship thing, I'd maybe go on it next year. We'll see how things play out. Yeah, I'd love to go on that next year just to experience it, because I know you've been on a couple of the cruises before, like Shipwrecked, or I know that you were on someone it was almost like the Rewind 70 Tons of Metal. 70 Tons of Metal is another one. It was it's just the Monsters of Rock. That's the throwback one, and you can kind of hang out with everybody, and it's cool, and you hit ports, and they have different events that go on at the different ports. I've been on cruises, but never one of the rock ones. I would like to experience that though. I mean, especially 70,000 tons of metal. I mean, that's wow. You can't go wrong with, extreme brutal metal, and then, having pina coladas by the pool. You can't. It's crazy how it's kind of laid out is, I mean, you've got to pick and choose who you want to see, because there's bands that are playing at the same time in different areas of the ship, or different ballrooms on the ship, or they're playing outside. So you got to pick and choose your battles. And then there's autograph sessions, there's meet and greets. It's nonstop, dude. It is nonstop. And it's a good hang. I mean, you meet a lot of people. It's a cool hang, man. I would say if you get an opportunity, it's not cheap. No, you're going to drop some dough for it. Yeah, it's not cheap compared to your standard cruise. A standard cruise, again, it's, they're pretty cool. But these are a little more expensive. And again, it's just nonstop party. And everything is an upsell. You've got to get your drink package. You've got to get a VIP package, or you got to get just a beverage package, not even including alcohol. That's how these things make money, man. Yeah. And they're not cheap either. You want to drink for 3 or 4 days, it's a few $100s, like $400 or $500 extra bucks.
Well, you're constantly at a rock concert, right? So you're going to be just constantly drinking. I mean,
yes,
it's just going to be nonstop, man. And then, of course, the food is just in abundance on these cruises, man.
Oh, it's not nonstop food. You would love that.
Yes, I would. Definitely.
That's my favorite part too. The food.
Yeah, the food is, and it's really good too. Oh, you know that obviously you heard about this being down in Vegas. The announcement of the When We Were Young festival, Kitty is reuniting, and they're going to be playing. Yes. It's going to be awesome, dude. Do you know those guys at all? Do you know Mercedes or
yes. Yeah. I worked with them when they first started, Scott.
That's what I thought. I was going to ask about that.
And I had them in my bar, believe it or not, when I had some of my nightclubs back there. Yeah. I worked with them when they first came out. They were opening for somebody, could have been Cold Chamber or something like that back in the day. And then when they kind of broke up, the two sisters stayed together. And then Fallon had a band. Again, it eludes me, but I had to play one of my venues. Really cool band. But yeah, this When We Were Young thing, it started out with one day here. Yeah. And they're playing at the Metallica area here where they did the Rock in Rio Festival on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Sahara.
It's not where the shooting took place, right?
No.
Okay.
No, that's a smaller area. No, this is down at the top of the strip, the north end in a sense, but I always call it the bottom because you're going down.
Right.
It's where they had that, the Rock in Rio. They've had a bunch of festivals there. Travis Scott was supposed to play there a few days after that thing that happened in Houston. Right. So he opted out, but they did do a 2 or 3 day festival with all the other performers. And this would have been back before Christmas. Anyways, this one started out with 1 day, then it went to 2 days. Now it's 3 days.
And there's talk of a fourth.
A fourth because it sells out. It's sold out.
Nostalgia. It's nostalgia, and the lineup is massive. Just massive.
For that, but the 2000s, right? That's
it's 20 years ago, which to me, I mean, God, time goes by so fast.
It's mind blowing, dude.
It really is.
To me was just like a few weeks ago with these bands. It's 20 years ago. Wow.
I know. I remember like you and I talking about Kitty like 15 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, wow. It's not like we're talking, Led Zeppelin, but even if you think about that from 1980.
Yeah.
To 90 to 2, that's 20 years. That's a huge span of time. Now you go from 2000 to 2022. That's 22 years. What the hell?
It's just got to slow down a bit,
I think so, buddy. Yeah, it really does. It really does.
We'd mentioned though, Kitty, though, they're also announced another reunion gig. They're playing at this year's Blue Ridge Rock Festival. And that takes place in one sec here.
I think they were from Kitchener, if my memory serves.
They're from London.
Correct. London. Okay. London area. Yeah. And that's London, Ontario for all you people out there.
That's right. Yeah. So besides When You're Young, they're also playing Blue Ridge Rock Festival, September 8th through 11th at the Virginia International Speedway in Alton, Virginia. I'm guessing they're going to be announcing more dates too, because from what I can see from the Lander sisters social media, there's more shows going to be announced. And Kitty is essentially back, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Yeah, we used to play that their stuff on that old Metal Meltdown show we had years ago.
That's right. Yeah, our old FM radio show. We played some of the. I think it was like Witches Part 2 and some of that stuff we'd play by them. Which is cool.
By Kitty. Dave Grohl's losing his hearing.
Is Dave Grohl losing his hearing?
Oh yeah, he's got hearing loss from years of playing the music, and I know that feeling.
Have you seen the movie Sound of Metal?
No.
Oh, it came out a couple of years ago, and it's just fantastic. It's about a drummer in a metal band who loses his hearing, and it's a fantastic movie, man. You definitely, for those who haven't seen it, check it out.
I will check that out then. I don't think I've seen it. I've seen so many, but no, nothing that walks down that sort of road with the drummer losing his hearing. I mean, I've got the tinnitus, dude, and it's just from years of playing as well, and it doesn't get better. And there's absolutely nothing you can do for it.
I mean, can you imagine some of these drummers? I mean, we're going back before we had the knowledge of what the damage it could cause. I mean, some of the people playing this loud music, especially drummers.
Alex Van Halen, dude, he's lost hearing completely. I think in his left side. He used to set up a Marshall stack for his monitor because all he wanted to hear was his brother's guitar. He didn't want to hear anything else, and that was his monitor. He just wanted to hear blasting Eddie Van Halen. Yeah. I don't know how he followed all that stuff when they played live because it was solos, right. But he knew where he was, man, and that's all he wanted to hear.
Wow.
And so he's lost hearing. Pete Townsend back in the day, he used to talk about hearing loss, but no, it's really prevalent now, dude. And it's an epidemic as far as musicians go, hearing loss and tinnitus, and it just goes with the territory. It's unfortunate. Yeah. And I've been wearing earplugs, man, for over 20 years. Whenever I rehearse, whenever I play, obviously, I had to get used to it. But sometimes if when you could go and see movies, I have earplugs in every pair of pants pockets that I own. And my ears are super sensitive. So I had to put earplugs in, even if I went to see a movie at a theater, because it's just frequencies, man. So it's a tough one, but it comes with the territory. And again, if we knew then what we know now. Yeah. Exactly. If we knew then what we know now, I mean, I would have maybe worn earplugs when I was jamming in a basement, blasting, or going to see a Motorhead show back in the day.
I think it's fun to get in there and play live and to crank it loud, but you got to think about your hearing. You got to think about yourself, man.
We never think about that. And the other thing too, man, back in the day with the Walkmans and the Discmans and putting those headphones on, that is just pure sound blasting into your eardrums, and people didn't know. They just thought it was cool. But no, we know now. Don't do that.
I had that. Remember everyone had that yellow Sport Walkman. I had that one. Yeah, and I used to crank. I had. Remember the band Razor?
Oh yeah.
I used to crank their album. I had the Metal for Breakfast album, Metal for Lunch album,
Evil Invaders.
Metal complations. Evil Invaders by Razor. That was the opening track on. I used to crank that on there. I will always remember.
Yeah, it's just, and then you didn't know, and it was just what you did as a kid, and your folks didn't tell you. They just said, "Oh, go out there and have fun, and listen to your tunes." I don't want to hear them, but you're blasting your ears. And it was Dave Grohl was talking about something with his hearing, and I didn't delve too much into the article, but I just I know what he's talking about. So it goes with the territory, man. But I think if people speak up about it, it might make you think, hey man, I am going to wear earplugs.
Again, like I said before, it's fun to crank those amps and have the stack and to get distortion and stuff, but wear earplugs, man. Take care of yourself too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't forget, as always, check out loadedradio.com for all your hard rock and metal news, updated constantly. As well, the 24-hour streaming radio station is there for you, and so much more, including the Loaded Radio app. You can download that at loadedradio.com or wherever you get your apps. So thanks so much for tuning in to this week's edition of Loaded Radio Podcast. We will be back again next week with an all-new one. I'm Scott Penfold for Loaded Radio, and we'll talk to you then.
Loaded Radio.